Children played football in the street until the streetlights came on. Neighbors knew each other by name. Families gathered around the television in the evening. And outside almost every house sat a familiar British car. The roads looked very different back then. Luxury cars like Jaguars, Rolls-Royces, and Bentleys certainly turned heads. But most families couldn't afford such expensive machines. Instead, they relied on practical, affordable cars that became part of everyday life. These were the cars parked on driveways, outside terraced houses, and along suburban streets all across Britain. Some became household names. Others have almost disappeared today. But if you grew up during the 1970s, chances are you remember seeing every single one of them. Before we begin today's countdown, don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more classic British car stories, forgotten motoring history, and nostalgic journeys through old Britain. Now let's count down 10 British cars that seem to be parked outside every family home in Britain. And by the time we reach number 1, you'll probably remember seeing it on almost every street. Number 10, Austin Maxi. The Austin Maxi arrived in 1969 and quickly became a practical choice for British families. Built by British Leyland, it introduced something that would later become very common: the hatchback. At the time, this was quite innovative. The large rear opening made loading luggage, shopping, and family belongings much easier. Most models used reliable four-cylinder engines that focused on economy rather than speed. Families liked the Maxi because it offered plenty of space. Holiday trips became easier. Weekly shopping became easier. And everyday life became easier. The Maxi never became glamorous, but it became useful. And useful cars often become popular cars. For much of the 1970s, the Austin Maxi was a common sight outside family homes across Britain. Number 9, Vauxhall Viva HC. The Vauxhall Viva HC arrived in 1970 and quickly established itself as one of Britain's favorite small family cars. Built by Vauxhall, the Viva combined attractive styling with sensible running costs. The compact size made it ideal for British roads, yet there was still enough room for a growing family. The dependable four-cylinder engines helped keep ownership affordable. Many first-time buyers chose a Viva. Many families upgraded to larger cars after starting with one. For a while, the Viva seemed to be parked on every street. Today they are much rarer. But during the 1970s, they were part of everyday British life. Number 8, Austin Allegro. Few British cars generate as much discussion as the Austin Allegro. Introduced in 1973 by British Leyland, the Allegro was intended to replace the successful Austin 1100 and 1300 range. The styling was unusual. Some people loved it, others didn't. Yet despite criticism, the Allegro sold in huge numbers. Families appreciated the comfortable ride and practical interior. The economical engines helped keep fuel costs manageable during difficult economic times. For many households, the Allegro became reliable daily transport. Outside schools, outside supermarkets, and outside countless British homes, the Allegro may be remembered differently today. But in the 1970s, it was everywhere. Number 7, Hillman Avenger. The Hillman Avenger arrived in 1970 and immediately found a loyal audience. Built by the Roots Group, later Chrysler UK, the Avenger offered modern styling and dependable engineering. The car looked contemporary and handled well for its class. Several engine options gave buyers flexibility depending on budget and requirements. Families appreciated its reliability. Drivers appreciated its simplicity. And mechanics appreciated how easy it was to work on. The Avenger became particularly popular among working families. As a result, streets throughout Britain soon filled with them. Today, the Hillman name has largely disappeared. But many older motorists still remember the Avenger fondly. Number 6, Morris Marina. The Morris Marina launched in 1971. Built by British Leyland, it was created specifically to compete with the hugely successful Ford Cortina. The Marina featured straightforward engineering and practical styling. It wasn't designed to be exciting. It was designed to be useful. And that's exactly what many British families wanted. The range included saloons, estates, and coupe versions. Economical four-cylinder engines kept ownership costs reasonable. For several years, the Marina became one of Britain's best-selling cars. Drive down almost any street during the mid-1970s and chances were high that you would see at least one Morris Marina parked outside a family home. Number 5, Ford Capri. The Ford Capri arrived with a simple promise. It was the car you always promised yourself. Built by Ford UK, the Capri brought sporty styling within reach of ordinary families. The long bonnet and sleek profile made it look far more expensive than it actually was. Various engine options were available, ranging from economical 4-cylinder units to more powerful V6 models. Families often bought Capris because they offered something practical while still feeling exciting. The Capri became a common sight on driveways throughout Britain. It gave many owners a sense of pride, and for countless families, it became one of the most memorable cars of the decade. Number 4, Triumph Dolomite. The Triumph Dolomite added a touch of style to everyday motoring. Built by Triumph, the Dolomite combined practical family transport with a more premium appearance. The attractive styling helped it stand out from many rivals. Inside, drivers enjoyed a comfortable cabin and quality materials. The engines offered respectable performance, while sporty versions such as the Dolomite Sprint gained a loyal following. Families liked the Dolomite because it felt slightly more special than many ordinary family cars. For much of the 1970s, Dolomites could be seen parked outside suburban homes throughout Britain. Today they are rare, but back then, they were part of the everyday landscape. Number 3, Ford Cortina Mk3. Few cars defined Britain during the 1970s quite like the Ford Cortina. Introduced in 1970 by Ford UK, the Cortina quickly became one of the country's best-selling cars. The formula was simple. Plenty of space, affordable ownership, dependable engines, and attractive styling. The Cortina appealed to almost everyone. Families, business owners, company car drivers, tradesmen. The spacious interior made it ideal for family life. The reliable engines made it affordable to run, and because so many were sold, servicing and repairs were straightforward. At one point, it felt like every street in Britain had several Cortinas parked outside. For many people, the Cortina wasn't just a car, it was part of growing up. Number 2, Mini. The Mini had already become a British icon by the time the 1970s arrived. Originally designed by Alec Isagones and built by the British Motor Corporation, the Mini remained one of Britain's most loved cars throughout the decade. Its compact dimensions made it perfect for crowded streets and limited parking spaces. Despite its small size, the clever design created impressive interior room. Families loved its practicality. Young drivers loved its affordability. And almost everyone loved its character. The Mini seemed to appear everywhere. Terraced streets, suburban estates, village roads, town centers. The little car became woven into the fabric of British life. Even today, it remains one of the most recognizable British cars ever built. Number 1, Ford Escort Mk2. And finally, the car that seemed to be parked outside almost every family home in Britain. The Ford Escort Mk2. Introduced in 1975, the Escort quickly became one of the nation's favorite cars. Everything about it appealed to ordinary drivers. The styling looked modern. The engines were reliable, the running costs remained affordable, and the car was easy to maintain. Families trusted the Escort because it simply worked. School runs, shopping trips, family holidays, weekend outings, the Escort handled them all. Millions were sold across Britain. As a result, entire streets seemed filled with them. Different colors, different trim levels, but always the same familiar shape. For many people, the Escort became more than just transportation. It became part of family history, part of childhood memories, part of old Britain itself. And that's why it takes the number 1 position. Because if there was one car you were almost guaranteed to see outside a British family home during the late 1970s, it was the Ford Escort Mk2. These cars were far more than machines. They became part of everyday life. They sat outside homes while children played nearby. They carried families on holidays. They transported shopping, luggage, pets, and countless memories. Today, modern roads look very different. Many of these cars have disappeared. Yet the memories remain. Because these cars remind people of a Britain that felt simpler. A Britain of close communities, local shops, family holidays, and familiar streets filled with familiar cars. For millions of people, these vehicles were part of daily life. And perhaps that's why they remain so special today. So which of these classic British cars do you remember seeing outside your house? And which ones seem to be parked on every street? Let us know in the comments below.